everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sydney. Today's video we are going to talk about 5 things you should never do on Poshmark. These are just really bad practices on Poshmark. They could even get you suspended, and I don't want that to happen to anyone because you could potentially lose your stream of income. So the last thing I'm going to tell you about, you really need to kind of contemplate it and, you know, make good decisions for your business because you do not want to forfeit one of your streams of income. So make sure you stick around to my last point because you don't want to lose your Poshmark account. If you are new here, I welcome you. I'm Sydney. I'm a Poshmark seller. I make a lot of videos about Poshmark and selling online to make money online. I've been selling on Poshmark for 5 years now. I was also a closet consultant at PoshFest in Dallas. I've also coached a lot of people in terms of helping them from going to making no sales to helping them making daily sales on Poshmark. So it's truly my passion to make videos about Poshmark because I feel like it's something that really anybody can do. It's a great app to sell on. It's a great way to make extra money, whether you are doing this as a side hustle or a full-time job. So let's get into this video. We are going to talk about 5 things that you should never do on Poshmark. Before we dive in to these things that you should never do on Poshmark, I do want to thank everyone who's been participating in the share parties every night in my private share group. We are in kind of a slow sales time of year. There's just not really much going on. So I started doing these nightly share parties in my private share group to kind of promote each other's listings some more and encourage more sales in our closets. We all get together and we share each other's listings, essentially promoting each other, and this really helps your closet. I also participate in the share parties, sharing listings, so it really amps up your activity and it gets your listings seen by more people. That way more people are apt to buy them. So if you are interested in joining the private share group and participating in the share parties with us to make more sales and get more exposure to your listings, I will put the information about it down in the description box below and also in the comments. You can always email me if you have any questions. It's poshbosshelp@gmail.com and I will be in touch with you. Okay, so 5 things that you should never do on Poshmark. This first one is something that I have seen come up a lot the past few days, and I'm not really sure why, but it has to do with items that are considered unisex. You know, it could be a men's item, a women's item. It's just a straight cut item that anybody could wear. And Poshmark does not have an option. You have to choose either men or women on Poshmark, and you have to categorize it as something. So a lot of people have been commenting that they are making 2 listings for one item and listing it in each category. And unless you have 2 of the same items, you really want to avoid listing the same item on 2 separate listings. You never know who's shopping your closet, you never know why they're shopping, and they may see that you have 2 of the same item and they may want both of them, and they will bundle it, and they're going to do this probably at 2 in the morning when you're asleep, and you're not going to know, and then you're going to have to wake up and you're going to have to cancel their order, which is something that you always want to avoid doing. It upsets the customer, it's frustrating, it could potentially hurt your closet in the long run. You just don't want to cancel orders on people. So please do not make 2 separate listings when you only have one of the item. My advice to you on unisex items is to pick the category that you think it is most likely to sell in. So if it's a graphic t-shirt and you think a woman is more likely to buy it, list it as women's, and then put a disclaimer in your listing that it is a unisex t-shirt. If it's something that men would be more likely to buy, you feel like it's a brand that sells primarily towards men, or it's like a shirt with a subject matter that's geared primarily towards men, list it as men's and put a disclaimer that it's a unisex item. If somebody wants an item they are going to find it. They will know to search both women's and men's. So it's not going to hurt your chances of the item selling if you only have one listing for the item. So just avoid making multiple listings when you only have one item. Second thing that you should never do on Poshmark, you should never like an item if you have no intention to buy it. So Poshmark is not really like Instagram or like Facebook, and there is sort of this unspoken Poshmark etiquette that, especially if you are new, you might not be aware of. So you don't want to go around liking listings on Poshmark like you would like photos on Instagram. It's not the same thing. On Poshmark, it's usually understood that if somebody likes an item, that they are interested in purchasing that item. For instance, as a seller, if somebody comes along and likes my item, that is my signal that they are interested in purchasing this item, and I am then going to send them an offer with a shipping discount. So if you are going around liking items and then people are sending you offers and you're not interested in purchasing the item, it's going to get really frustrating to you. You're going to get a lot of notifications about it, and then it's kind of frustrating as a seller if somebody likes your item and they're not really interested in buying it, and then you send them an offer and they decline it. So if you would like to support the seller, go in their closet and share some of their listings. You don't need to like them. You can like their Meet the Posher listing and maybe leave them a comment on it and say hi, but you don't have to like their listings. You can just share them, and then that will show support for the seller, and then hopefully they will come around and they will also share some of your listings. So that way, you know, both of you get some exposure from it. It benefits both of you. Just don't go around liking people's listings when you have no intention of buying the item. Number 3 thing you should never do on Poshmark is get personal when somebody opens a case against you. Cases on Poshmark are pretty inevitable. It doesn't necessarily mean that the item is going to get returned. So if somebody opens a case against you, the first thing you need to do is pause and take a deep breath, because a lot of people have emotional reactions to these cases, and it looks really unprofessional, and it's not going to help you necessarily win the case. It could actually hurt you in the long run. If you go in the case and you act like a jerk to your customer, Poshmark is not necessarily going to favor you in the case. So you want to go into the case, you want to be as professional as possible. You only want to state facts in the case. You don't want to get emotional. You don't want to say personal stories. If they start telling you personal stories, don't respond to anything personal that they are saying. You just need to state facts and defend yourself and provide your evidence, then say nothing else and let Poshmark handle the situation. You do not want to get personal and emotional with these people. You never know who is on the other side of a Poshmark case. You do not want to put yourself at any risk or any danger. So, you know, you don't want to essentially provoke anybody. So state facts, provide your evidence, and then just leave it alone. Even if they continue to say things. One time I had a guy who just completely flipped out over a pair of sneakers, and he literally left over 30 comments in the case. So I eventually won the case. I was completely professional. I provided my evidence to Poshmark and I won the case, and it wasn't personal, it was business, and life goes on. So, you know, it's not the end of the world if somebody opens a case against you. Just don't get personal, deep breath, and continue listing and selling things, and don't let it discourage you. Number 4 thing you should never do on Poshmark, you should not list non-compliant items. So there are a lot of things that are non-compliant on Poshmark. You cannot sell hairspray, liquids, you can't sell appliances, you can't sell electronics. You need to only be listing men's, women's, kids fashion, unused makeup, and now home decor. So you need to stick to the list of the compliant items. You can go into the app and go into the community guidelines, and they will have a list for you in terms of what you can list if you are not sure. So listing non-compliant items, even though Poshmark lets you list the item, does not necessarily mean that you should list the item. You always want to, you know, follow the guidelines for your closet. It can actually hurt your visibility on Poshmark if you are listing non-compliant items. So, you know, Poshmark has really expanded in terms of what you are now allowed to list on the app. Obviously, you're not allowed to list furniture. You can't ship furniture. Just basically use common sense in what you're allowed to list on the app and keep your closet within the guidelines, and you will make more sales from it, and you will also look more trustworthy as a seller. Don't clutter up your closet with non-compliant items. Okay, so this last point and topic is something that you need to take very seriously, and it could potentially cost you your Poshmark account if you choose to do this. So there are a lot of people on Poshmark who choose to use bots on their account, and a bot is essentially a third-party software that somebody uses to share their closet or whatever they're using it for. It's just not worth it. Poshmark does not allow bots, and if they catch you, they will suspend you. So you do not want to risk losing a potential stream of income to use a bot on your account. If you are having trouble finding time to share your closet, then I highly recommend hiring a friend or family member to share your closet for you. I really don't recommend giving VAs access to your Poshmark account. Some people hire VAs to share their closet from the VA's Poshmark account. That's not really a good idea either. I personally recommend just getting somebody that you know who can come to your house and you can watch them with your Poshmark account. I don't ever recommend giving people access to your Poshmark account. I also don't recommend installing any type of third-party software on your Poshmark account. That's how people get hacked, and that's how your identity can be stolen. You have a lot of personal information on your Poshmark account. So don't use bots, and make sure that other people are aware that you're not allowed to use bots. You know, everyone's gonna make the decision for their business, whatever they want to do. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it. And you know, I can usually share about 200 items in 20 minutes or less. So it really does not take that long to share your closet on Poshmark. Do it first thing in the morning, share during lunch, share in the evening, and it's really not that hard. So, you know, I personally don't pay anybody to share my closet. As it builds, I might hire an employee in the future, but it would be somebody that I would watch on my Poshmark account. It would never be like somebody overseas or a digital VA or anything like that. So just be very careful in terms of what you connect to your Poshmark account and who you allow access to your Poshmark account. So these are my 5 things you should never do on Poshmark. I hope it helped you. If it did, definitely leave me a comment down below. And if you like these kind of videos, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next video.